This episode of Digital Photography Cafe is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe. I'm Trevor Current, your digital marketing guy.
And I'm Joseph Christina, your professional photographer.
So grab a latte, pull up a chair, and join us as we chat about the art and business of photography.
So hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Last week we talked about the shiny new Canon 6D, tips on enjoying photo walks, and Twitter's new profile pages. If you haven't listened to last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, in iTunes, listen with the popular Stitcher or TuneIn radio apps, and now watch us on HD TV through TiVo.
So Joe, we are back, episode 74. How was your week?
Here. Good. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's going pretty well. It's hot as hell down here as always, but
getting cold up here, man.
Yeah, I got a round of 18 in yesterday, which made me happy. I haven't played like forever, so that's kind of good.
Nice. And
we ended up doing this pretty cool photo shoot over the weekend at this sanctuary. So I got to shoot this woman that was she was amazing, like this, I don't know, yoga instructor. And we actually shot her in the sanctuary with snakes and raptors and owls and, all kinds of bird of prey and all, so I'm kind of excited about how this one turns out. So
yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I always like doing something different.
Very nice. Very cool.
So how about you? What's the latest and greatest over there?
Well, the construction is on. We've got a whole house renovation going on here, and the build out of the new office/studio is underway. So we're doing some inspections this week, and we're going to be buttoning it up hopefully over the next 2 weeks. And
nice.
I'm hoping at least by the beginning of November, I've got everything done and I'm in the new studio ready to roll.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Always love the renovations to the house.
God, it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
Well, at least you have people working over there.
Yeah.
I'm like destroying 2 rooms and dropping wood in, and this is like just a lot of work. And especially in Florida, everything you have to have underlayment on everything so that you don't get it with that the humidity that comes through, the cracks in the concrete and all that. So, but you get to pay the big bucks and watch other people work, and I get to buy the stuff and sweat.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing some of the work myself, but
Okay.
The contractors are doing most of it. I'm kind of like doing the exterior work, excavating and stuff like that.
Right.
And,
right. You get to do the hard job of writing that big check.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, right now, I'm kind of a DIY type of guy anyway. I like doing that hands-on stuff, but
right.
Right now I'm just too busy with work. I mean, and we've got a lot of great projects in-house now, and doing a bunch of website designs and social media work and stuff like that. Yeah. So right now I just really can't take the time to do it myself. So it's either you put the sweat in, you do it yourself, or you pay somebody else to do it.
That's it. Those are your 2 options.
Yep.
So I actually went to a buddy of mine with TiVo box, and I actually saw us on the on the TV the other day, which was kind of interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
This
TiVo thing's pretty cool. I'm really excited about us being on there.
Yeah.
So you guys out there listening, if you have a TiVo box, definitely check us out. We're on there. Maybe you haven't been watching the video before. Now is a great opportunity. You can just go right into your TiVo and go to the web videos section, and you can subscribe to our show and watch us in HD.
Yeah, God, but they can do that.
Good luck with that.
So the 24th, through the 27th is approaching quickly, the PPE in NYC. So
Photo Plus Expo.
Yeah.
Exciting. So if you guys, again, call the sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, we've got some great packages that you can find more information about them over on the website. Definitely go check them out. Time is ticking down to getting in on the offers. So if it's something you've been thinking about, you've been hearing us go on about for the last couple weeks now.
Chit chat about.
Yeah. If you've been thinking about, if you've been on the fence, just jump off that fence, get onto the right side, and go sign up. And
absolutely
sponsor the show.
So I tell you what, I kind of want to kick off the show with iPhone 5, and just, I have so many buddies of mine with the iPhone 5. I told you that I didn't get it right away, and
I still don't have mine.
I want to go get it, and I'm talking. Matter of fact, I just shot that round of 18 with one of the guys, this guy Mike, and he's got one. I was playing with it, and he's like, Joe, these damn maps. It's like I go and it's like I was down, and I don't know. It's like
Yeah, Apple's got their own mapping thing now. They did away with Google Maps.
I don't know. So that seems to be like the sticking point. That's the one thing. The phone is absolutely gorgeous. It's light. Don't put I don't know. For me, don't put a case on it. I mean, all of a sudden it just makes it like heavier and just, God, I don't know. It's just it's like a piece of jewelry. To put a case on it is almost criminal,
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
a nice looking phone.
He had like the little matte finish that goes over it, so it's like an anti-glare thing, and now all of a sudden it's not. It's bright and vibrant.
Right.
It's like, oh God, it's like it doesn't supposed to be like that. But anyway, so that was like the main thing, is this maps thing. And I was reading an article, and I wanted to share it with everyone because I thought maybe it'll kind of help some folks that are having the exact same problem. And basically, it just it's very simple fix, and within seconds you can have Google Maps back on the iPhone 5. And the simplest way to go about it, and if you're listening, I'll try to describe it, and if you're watching, if we get a chance, we'll put it up on the screen for you. But basically, you just open up Safari in your phone. You go into your search box and you search for maps.google.com. Very simple. It'll pop up. Then at the very bottom, it looks like almost like a forward key, right? If you're going to forward a message or something. If you tap on that, it's right dead center. There's a button that says Add to Home Screen.
Yep.
Click that. And then what will happen is you'll see you can change the name to whatever you want to call it. For me, you would call it Google Maps, let's say. And then you can drag it to wherever you want it. Personally, I'd put it on the front page. And then what will happen is that button now has the icon, of that maps.google.com page, which is a really cool icon, right?
Right.
And, it's got the little G and it's got the little red dot of where you are, kind of thing. And then from from that time forward, you just click on that icon, and now you would use that as your mapping system. Perfect, and it's simple, easy, and now basically you have the old Google Maps back on the iPhone 5. So,
right, I mean, the biggest issue with that though is you're using the web interface Google Maps as opposed to an app. So the user experience is going to be through the website, which is fine.
But their website is honed in on the iPhone, so
it's doing a mobile version of its website.
App. Absolutely. So you really, you'll tell the difference, but you won't tell the difference, kind of thing.
Right.
It's done really, really well. And until Google, gets off the pot, so to speak, and puts out an actual quote unquote app, that the iPhone 5 could just download and just use that. This is a great alternative to using that horrid
Apple
system.
Maps. Apple Maps is not there yet. I mean, of course, it's a new system. It's got to be refined. It's got to be tweaked. It's got to be made to, be as good as what Google Maps is. And this is really a problem because a lot of people are using their iPhones for a GPS-like device, and they're going to Maps. They're looking for directions, and it's just not as good. So, this is a great workaround for now.
Yeah. It just feels half baked. Things are missing. Roads actually, like I saw one where a road was like going straight, and then all of a sudden the map somehow had it almost falling into the center of the earth. So if you went that way, you would basically go right into the center of the earth. I mean, and then there's like areas where turn by the whole turn by turn type of thing will tell you like go off a bridge and stuff. I mean, it's just
turn right now.
The bottom line is they need us to help them to make their maps better. And that's what Google did. I mean, all of the revisions and fixes and stuff, besides Google putting in, probably billions of dollars on all of their people they're mapping under the water now. I mean, you can actually take your car to the edge of the ocean and then drive into the ocean and see what's there underneath.
Kind of use it for dive planning, maybe.
It's kind of crazy. Cool. I mean, it's crazy. They're mapping everything,
That'd be cool if they actually mapped like dive wrecks and things like that.
Yeah,
That could be really powerful and beneficial
cool
to the scuba divers out there.
And the thing is if you guys go and take a look at what I'm talking about, these maps of underneath the water, they are so clear. I mean, I don't even know what kind of cameras they're using or whatever, but there's like, normally you'll see like a whole bunch of silt in the area, and they're just, stuff is just not clear. I don't know what they're doing to enhance these pictures, but it's amazing. It almost looks rendered, just crazy. Really, really cool. But that's Google. I mean, they know maps.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing it a long time. And,
so,
their application is definitely, well thought out.
Right,
but it took them a while to get there. And the same is going to be with Apple. I mean, how long are they going to be able to, have to really get their maps up and running to compete? Who knows?
It's going to take a bit.
Yeah.
They keep buying,
have to do it quickly.
They're buying companies, but it's still, you need your ground crew, obviously, to make these modifications and these fixes too.
Right.
But either way. So anyways, there was another article that I saw, which was kind of sad because, I'm kind of like I mean, if anyone is listening to the show, I'm a black and white kind of guy. I see in black and white pretty much, even though I'm not, but kind of. Anyways, besides,
you got dog eyes.
Kind of like dog eyes. I'm not colorblind. Where people be like, "Is this guy colorblind?" No, I'm not. But I see in shapes and in black and white and contrast. But anyways, so Kodak announced that they discontinued the T-Max P3200, which is that's like ISO 3200. You shoot in the dark type of stuff, and
more
it's
film
black and
going
white
by
film.
the wayside.
God, it's so sad. I mean, that was some amazing film. And what it is, it's just not cost effective for them to continue producing this type of, film. That's just it,
Yeah. This really is a problem. I mean, obviously digital has changed everything. And, there are still the people out there who like shooting film. I mean, if I had my own, darkroom still, I would shoot film just for the fun of it, just for the art of it. I loved shooting film. I love developing and printing and everything. But, I just don't have a darkroom anymore. It's not practical for me to shoot with film. I do miss it, but this is the problem that all photographers are facing. Anybody that has started in film probably really enjoyed film. And that's what made them stick with photography to eventually evolve into the digital realm. And now there just aren't enough people buying film for Kodak and these other film companies to continue to produce it.
Yeah,
so they're just slowly cutting their product lines.
Yeah, they're kind of, they're suggesting that photographers continue to go buy the T-Max 400 stuff. Right. It's got some kind of, what is it, like TMY-2 they call it, which supposedly allows it to, you can underexpose it by an entire stop. So it'd be like the equivalent to, let's say, an 800 compared to 400. And then they're saying, then you go and you take that and you push that another stop to 16. And it's, there's workarounds. Well, I mean, you could do it. And don't get me wrong, that film is phenomenal. And you can push the heck out of it. And it will have some just really nice small grain to it that just looks fabulous.
Right.
But, you're having to do all this kind of stuff that, whereas you just buy the 3200 and you just out of the can, it's just beautiful, So, but anyways, kind of, going into that same type of topic with the black and white, I saw an article over, let me see, who is it? Steve Huff, I believe.
SteveHuffPhoto.com. Yeah.
And, we'll put him.
He's got some good stuff over there.
He does some really good stuff, and I like his commentary on things. He did like an unwrapping of a brand new camera that he got, and some people can't stand these unboxing type stuff, but this camera was interesting to me, so I kind of watched it and read his kind of synopsis of the camera itself. And what it is, it's the Leica M. Monochrome. So basically, if you think about the Leica line, you have the M9, which is like the high-end color, beautiful $9,000 rangefinder, right?
Yep.
This is the equivalent to that, but it only does black and white. So now someone says, oh, well, you can go use silver effects, or you can use alien skin, something to go and convert to black and white, and it does a really good job. And yes, I can see that. It does a good job with your color. But if you see what comes out of this Leica that is specific to black and white, you'll just be floored. It is just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And, he talks about why that is. And, it seems that, instead of having the computer in the machine itself, having to try to mesh together the different colors to make something exactly perfect, this is only working on that monochromatic, that black and white color spectrum,
sure.
which is
and it's doing it in camera as opposed to having to do it in post.
Right.
So it's really, the whole processing engine is dedicated to just black and white processing.
Right.
So, okay. So sounds like a great camera. It sounds really interesting. Definitely a very niche market for it. I mean, you have to have some major discretionary income to drop $8,000 for this monochrome camera.
Yeah, Trev.
You
don't have that sitting around?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it wadded up in my pocket, Yeah, I just, I don't know. Me personally, I mean, the Leica cameras are beautiful. I think if I'm going to drop $8,000 or $9,000, I'm going to get one that does color and not just black and white.
Yeah. I'm such a fan of black and white that, if I had that money to turn around to spend, I would really consider this. I mean, it shoots at 25.
Try it, right? And if it really is amazing, then you drop the cash if you've got that money. But
it shoots ISO 2500, like 100, 200 on just the standard 5D Mark II. I mean, it's just that good when it comes to low light. It's really, I mean, it looks amazing. It really looks. I mean, the shots that he had on there, it looks really good. And so for me, I do all of my, art that I put out there, fine art photography, is always black and white, and I go have it, chemically printed. I don't, print on a big Epson or something. It's all chemical prints. And I could see using this to do some street stuff or some things that you don't want this monstrosity of a DSLR with you.
Yeah. Well, the form factor is really nice. They have the interchangeable lenses. I mean, it's, great, resolution. I mean, great processor, great chip in it. I mean, they really are and the quality of the glass, the Leica glass, I mean, is just amazing.
It's second to none.
So overall, I'm sure this camera is fantastic. Right. Again, for me, it all comes back down to the dollars. And if I'm going to spend $8,000, do I spend it on a black and white or do I spend it on a color?
Yeah, it's a definitely, you have to, just like you said, it's a very niche type of group that would look into this, but it is interesting. And, seeing that Kodak is taking another, this was used forever, the 3200, and just
another player out of the game.
Yeah, and now you see Leica with this, this camera that only does black and white. Kind of, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. Kind of that play back and forth and it looks, I tell you what, it looks good. It looks really good. So, nice. But anyways, another thing that we wanted to talk about today was the idea of DNG versus camera raw. And, what do I keep? That's always that's been an issue since day one. All these cameras, they, if you have a Canon, it shoots in CR2, Nikon. So the bottom line is you have your own native raw images that come out of these cameras. Or, of course, you could shoot JPEG, but we always suggest shooting raw because you have the most latitude at the back end in post-production to be able to push and pull and change color and do all kinds of other stuff. So,
but then you're dealing with really large raw files that you need to store somewhere, so then that gets all back into the, having these external, file servers with big, huge RAIDs on them to store all this data indefinitely, because at that point, there really is no other type of, offline storage that you can use because the files are just so big. I mean, you'll burn up a DVD with, a handful of files. So at that point, DVDs are no longer practical. Blu-rays are too expensive.
Yep. Yeah. So hard drives are cheap enough now that you can actually buy, very, very large hard drives for very, very cheap.
Sure.
It's So hard drive space is really not an issue anymore. So we can save some big files, but do you want to?
Right.
That's always the question. So
do you need them? Yeah. Or when the job is done years later, are the JPEG files good enough?
Right.
Or do you still want to hang on to those RAWs? There's a lot to think about in file management.
Right. And for me, I decided from the very beginning to go with my CR2s and stick with CR2s and not have Lightroom or whatever anyone else is using do the conversion from CR2 to DNG. One thing that Adobe did recently is they introduced, so basically, let me go to the beginning. The DNG is a lossless, full raw image, let's say, but in like an Adobe
it's kind of more of like a universal format, I guess.
Exactly. It is
a universal format that Adobe created.
Right. And it's ever so slightly smaller than a CR2 file because they are removing some, metadata out of it. Stuff that, let's say, you will never need or use or want, which I hate any company telling me what I need. I am a metadata freak. I like as much metadata as possible. I like that.
Just because.
So that's why I've been keeping my CR2s. But, regardless. So the DNG is basically the same thing as a full camera raw file. The story difference here is they came out with a Lossy version of the DNG, which now removes a lot more. It does a compression like a JPEG compression on the DNG, but you still have your editability because it retains you can push and pull your exposure, change color, everything that you can do with a raw file, but now it's a lot smaller because it is semi-compressed.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a great alternative. Now you can keep all that added information at a smaller file size. You can fit more of it on your drives and just save more of them. Now by doing so, will that make you want to shoot more, save more, rather than getting rid of the stuff that maybe you really don't need? And so, now it all comes back. It gives you another option in your workflow to make some decisions on how you want to archive and manage your files.
Right. And, just to get a visual here, if folks aren't watching and they're listening, a standard DNG, all right, let's say out of 5D Mark II would be about 25.2 meg. That's a standard DNG. That DNG is approximately 15-20% smaller than an actual CR2 coming out of the camera, okay? So let's say 25 megs. The JPEG of that same image would be 6.5. That's at full, max 100%, 6.5. So you see the huge difference, 25 meg to 6.5. But the Lossy, this new DNG format that's still editable, that's still quote unquote raw, is only 8.6. So you're only 2 megs bigger than just a plain JPEG, but you can see 8 meg compared to the 25. The standard DNG is a huge difference, a huge savings. You're looking at 3 times smaller, right?
Yeah, exactly. That could be a great option. So then I guess you got to come back to the idea of, all right, do you save in DNG for this file compression, for the space savings in your drives, go with this kind of Adobe format?
Right.
Or do you stay with your camera manufacturer's format because in theory, you would think that they will continue to support their raw formats moving forward into the future? Right. I guess my feeling would be, unless the industry as a whole adopts DNG as the standard for raw formatting, do you want to deviate from that, from your manufacturer's formatting?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. There are a couple of camera manufacturers and a couple of cameras out there that when you take a raw image with them, they immediately bake a DNG. They do not have a proprietary raw file format. They immediately create a DNG, and that comes right out of the camera. I think Leica's one, and there's another one. I forgot, maybe one of the Olympus or something. But anyways, they actually create DNG. So, okay, so the thing is who do who's going to be around, at the very end Will it be Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Sony, all the rest of them? Or will Adobe still be around in 20, 30 years from now? The thing that, for me, I'm sticking with my Canons because I think Canon and Nikon will probably be around. The other ones, who knows what's going to happen. But if you were using another camera that, they're not one of the top two major players, I would think DNG is probably a better way to go with your images. As far as archival for 20, 30 years to look back and say, okay,
Sure.
which ones are openable? Which ones can I open?
Yeah, I agree with that. If you are using a DSLR or a camera from another manufacturer, not one of the top two main ones. Again, Pentax has been around for a long time. Sony's been around for a long time. The odds of them completely going away are slim, but they may change their models. They may get out of shooting in the RAW formats because the next greatest version of JPEG comes out, which is they feel is good enough. And now you've got all these files. You now have a manufacturer that no longer is supporting the RAW conversion. So from that standpoint, I would say it probably does make sense to go with DNG. I mean, Adobe's not going anywhere either.
No,
I mean, they've been around for ages. So, and they're going to continue to innovate and create great software for the creative industries. So, they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I don't see an Adobe-esque company coming out there that's going to blow Photoshop and all the rest away anytime soon. I just don't see it happening. And like you said, let's say a Sony went bye-bye, let's say, or let's say the Sony started doing their DNG bakes internal to the camera. Now, all of a sudden, 4 or 5 years from now, you still have your Sony RAWs or whatever, and now you're looking, you're scrambling around trying to find a converter to convert those old RAWs because now, they're only doing DNGs in the camera.
Right,
so,
and Sony no longer is going to support it. And
right.
Exactly.
So, just like you said, just like what we had, the beauty back in the film days is we would take the film, put it into an archival type of sleeve that's, acid resistant, and then stick them acid free and stick them into a nice, cool, dark area in the studio in, file folders, and everything was great. And 100 years from now, you pull those out, and chances are there is, as long as they were done well, stored properly, and back to the baking, baked properly when you develop the film, they'll be fine. And you'd be able to now take, what we have now is a $1,200 scanner. And, now 30 years from now, they have these amazing scanners because they keep getting better and better and better. You'll be able to take that film and scan it in. And it'll just like you just took them, from 30 years, ago. Whereas it comes with, comes to these file formats, digital, you need to really stay on top of your stuff. And every once in a while, look at, your old work and say, oh, is this in a file format that's kind of old and outdated? Right. Or maybe it's in a current file format, but it's like, 10 revisions back. Well, are you going to be able to convert those to the current? We're hoping you will. Right. So you kind of have to stay on top of the stuff. Anything that you want to keep, you need to keep on moving, I would say, from one drive to a new drive, and then look at what file format it's in. And eventually, if DNG ends up winning the game, well, maybe you take all of your old, convert them to DNGs, and start saving those. So it's just something to think about, this whole, DNG versus RAW type thing. I'm still sticking with my RAW for right now. But like I said, if you have an older, or if you have a camera that's not, let's say, one of the top two, you might consider the DNG format, and especially now that they have this Lossy, smaller size DNG that you could still edit.
Yeah, definitely something to consider for sure.
Right. So anyways, before we go any further with the show, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
So, all right, guys, our topic today are kind of meat and potatoes that we wanted to kind of discuss, because we've talked about this kind of in the past when it comes to websites, and we say stay away from Flash and all the rest of this stuff, and the big thing right now is responsive website design. Having a responsive website is huge for photographers. Is what that does is it allows a website to kind of conform itself to whatever let's say device you're viewing it with, right?
Right. Exactly. And kind of before we move into the discussion about the responsive website, I just wanted to throw out some stats. Kind of, I like stats.
I love stats.
It's if you're not doing market research about your industry and about the different technologies out there, you're really missing out on some huge business opportunities.
Shame on you.
That's right. So that's our job. We're going to give these stats at you. So I'm going to throw a whole bunch of them at you and kind of just let them absorb, just kind of sleep on them, let them bake for a little while.
I'm taking notes. I'm grabbing a pen right now.
That's right.
All right.
So as of February 2012, smartphones account for half of all mobile phone users in the US.
Wow.
Okay. So we all know the smartphones, iPhones, Androids, etc.
Yep. So I shouldn't be so cheap and get my wife a smartphone.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So 4 out of 5 consumers use smartphones to shop. 51.1% check their email using only a mobile device. 45.3% say they conduct mobile-only internet searches. That's big right there. That's almost half. Conduct mobile-only internet searches.
Huge.
25.4% of consumers engage in online shopping only via mobile. That's pretty significant.
Absolutely.
The majority of smartphone users are relying on their devices exclusively for several basic online functions, such as email, online searching, and social media. Okay, so online searching. I mean, this is key. Keep that in mind.
Right.
57% of consumers will not recommend a business with a poorly designed mobile site.
Here. We just spoke about that. I think it was last week about someone I had in the studio. That was their main thing. They looked at the site, they loved the site, and they kind of, gave me a call. So yeah, it's so important to have a really quality website that kind of says who you are and really describes what your business is right up front without them having to go very far to get there.
Absolutely. And if you have a poor site, a poor mobile friendly site, let's say, 40% will go to the competitor's site after they experience your lame ass site. So
yep. I love it. Yeah. You have a lame site, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
We were saying that, like, if your site does not load, within like 5-10 seconds, a very short period of time, they're history. They're gone. They're back to Google and they're going down to the next one right underneath you. So all of your SEO to put you at the very top is wasted. It's history. Because they went to your site as loading. How many of these photographer sites you get there, and what do you get? You get a percentage bar. The people don't want a percentage bar, people. They don't want that. Give them something. If you want to load stuff in the background, go ahead and do it, but don't show them that you're doing it. Load it in the background. You can do that. As Trevor would say, there's a plugin for that.
That's right. I mean, we know everything is moving mobile. I mean, that's just a given. If you haven't realized that by now, you really need to,
Yeah.
The days of people finding you from the yellow pages are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
The days of people searching for you on their desktop computer exclusively are pretty much gone. Just from those stats alone, we'll see that more than half or 50% of the populace out there are actually using their mobile phones to find businesses. We've talked about this in the past about, the woman who is now newly engaged and is very excited about her whole wedding coming up. It's probably She's been thinking about this since she was just a kid. And the only thing on her mind is planning for this wedding. And if you're a wedding photographer, you need to have that mobile-friendly website, because she's going to be looking for photographers on her lunch break. She's going to be looking at him, wherever and whenever she can.
Right, and that goes into, since people are looking for businesses using their mobile devices, you have to make sure, we've said it before, it's worth saying again, you have to have your phone number in text form on that main page, and you need to have your address in text form on the main page, or at least one click away, so that their smartphone can take that data, know that, for example, it's your address, you click on it, immediately dumps it into a mapping, and they can go straight to your business. Or if you have that phone number there, once again, the smartphone knows that it's a phone number. You click on it, and it'll immediately say, would you like to dial this number?
Yep.
Very simple. You don't want them to have to take a pen out, write something down, make it easy for them to contact you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, it's this whole thing, it's not just about being able to see your images and reading your text. It's about the user experience. The look and feel of the mobile site needs to have a similar experience to your online website. They want that rich experience. They want the images. They want the videos. They want the design. Now, there are plugins out there. I mean, we talk about WordPress all the time. I mean, that's really, I'm a WordPress pundit. That's what I think is really the platform of choice, in my opinion.
Right.
And there are plugins out there that you can run in your WordPress site that will do a kind of a stripped down, kind of rough looking version of your website for mobile users. But the problem is everybody else is using that plugin too. And there's only just so much customization that you can do to it. Sure, you can customize colors, you can add a logo, things like that, but your mobile website is going to look like everybody else's website. And from first look, when you first go to your page, your images don't show. You have to actually click into inside posts and things like that. So from that respect, you're not getting the best mobile user experience you can by using those plugins.
No, absolutely not. You're just like you say, it needs to look just like your website if they were on their desktop.
Right.
And a lot of these responsive templates that are out there, a lot of these responsive designs allow you, for example, let's just use an iPad, for example. You load the website in portrait form and it looks perfect. It looks great. Then you take it and you rotate it, into a landscape form, and now it looks perfect and great that way. It actually responsively changes to the orientation of the device, to the width. So it understands that when it's in portrait, it's going to be thinner and longer, and then it'll change your website accordingly to that. And if you switch it over to landscape mode, it knows that it's wider and shorter. So it everything is in proportion. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of these themes have built into their engine. So every time you upload a photo, it will do 3 versions of that photo.
Right.
It will do a small one for a mobile phone. It'll do a medium-sized version for a tablet device, and it'll do the full-size version for your website.
Right.
This all kind of happens in the background. So, now when a visitor comes to your site and you're using one of these responsive themes, it will detect what device you're on, and it will scale and, send the appropriate image size, which will enhance the user experience because it will be faster downloads because it's a smaller file size. It will be proportioned properly, and everything will flow more according to what the overall feel of your website is.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. I mean, it's amazing that they can do this now, where years ago they just couldn't. And all of the photographers would use, we won't call anyone out, but they would use a specific company for their quote unquote photographer websites, and they all looked the same, and they were running under Flash, and that was great when everyone was looking at these things on the desktop, but everything is moved, like you said, mobile, and Flash does not work for the most part, or at least it doesn't work well.
It doesn't
it's
work
slow.
well, yeah.
And I love the idea that you were saying that it actually creates it in the background will bake down. It'll have a full res, a medium res, a small version, all different types of versions, so that when it needs to go ahead and offer up the version, it does so according to whatever the device is that's viewing it. That's great. That goes back into the idea that your site will load quickly because it's not going to offer up, something that is huge that would be no problem if you're sitting on DSL or if you're sitting on, cable, but you're sitting with your mobile device, it's going to offer up the smaller, reduced size. So it's still quick. I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely the way to go. And, I would definitely say if you're not using WordPress and you're looking to make a change to your website, you're looking to update it, maybe redesign it and stuff, definitely look at WordPress, look at the responsive themes that are out there. I think it's really the way to go. There's other content management systems out there like Joomla and Drupal, but they are a small portion of the market.
Very, very
when
small
it comes to content
share.
management systems like WordPress. And really not to say that they're not good. I mean, they are good in their own right, but you don't have the community development behind it that you do in WordPress. So that's why, I definitely would say maybe stay away from Joomla. I have some experience with Joomla, and it does not compare to WordPress in my opinion, based on the let's say the aftermarket. Getting those plugins, getting the themes, things like that.
Yeah. All those plugins. I know you love plugins.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a plugin fan for functionality, but you also can't overdo them either.
No, it's true. It's true.
Then your site just doesn't work properly.
I know. So, all right, Trev, I think we need to get out of here.
Yeah, we do. It's been a while here. So, let's thank everybody, for listening as usual. If you're not subscribed, we would love for it if you did so in iTunes. Joe, we are still ranking high up there for the video and the audio. We're moving up every week.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is
Thank
really
you guys. Great. We really appreciate it. It makes it all worth it. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if you guys want to give us a rating in iTunes, that would be fantastic. If you write a blog post about us, about the show, and you want to link to us, fantastic. Definitely send us a message through the site. We'd love to give you a shout out on the show, give you a link back to our Friends of the Show page. It's all good. It's sharing is caring, right? That's
Absolutely.
What the plugin says. So, Joe, if people want to connect with you, how's the best way to reach you?
They could find me on Twitter. Love Twitter. That's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Kern.
Awesome. That is show 74 in the can. I can't believe it's 74, Trevor.
I know.
Jeez, man, we're getting close to that 100. So, all right. Great show. As always, if you guys have any questions or topics that you'd like discussed on next week's show, send us a message through our website, digitalphotographycafe.com. Or you could connect with us once again on Twitter. That's at DPhotoCafe. If you're listening on the go, fear not. Everything that we covered during this week's show can easily be found in our show notes at our website. Once again, keep your questions and comments coming, and we'll talk to you next week.